It's your girl, VK Johannem, and I'm going to discuss the aspects of the human soul, the aspects of your soul. To my understanding, there are other comprehensions of the soul in other spiritual systems, which appear to be equally valid and pragmatically useful. I'm going to talk about the soul as I understand it. So, the first part of the soul I'm going to discuss is the higher self. There are countless names for the higher self. Some people call it the higher guardian angel. People call it the inner daemon, the personal daemon. So many names for it. That's the part of the soul that is apparently most popular among occultists. And most people strive to integrate and become one with their higher self. If you perform divination and a spirit is not giving you the answers you're getting, your higher self is like the default option. That's what's answering for you, whether it's a pendulum or tarot cards, etc. And every time you do divination, you strengthen your connection to your higher self and thereby become more psychic. Very cool. The more you connect with your higher self and integrate your higher self, the more of your intrinsic power you can wield. Next is the alternate self, which I often refer to as the shadow. Now, the shadow is a term from Jungian psychology, but to my understanding and the understanding of others, the shadow is a part of the soul, very much like the higher self. Like the higher self, you can have conversations with it. You can get guidance from it. And integrating your shadow helps strengthen your psychic abilities, just like integrating your higher self does. Of course, the shadow, it contains the parts of you that are unknown to you, that are hidden, that are repressed. And that not only includes destructive urges, but also includes strength, psychic abilities that the psychic filter, the mental blockages that repress your spiritual perceptions, block out. And the more you integrate your shadow, and the more you work with shadow magic and shadow beings, the less you have to deal with the psychic filter. As for the toxic traits, which are repressed and reside in your shadow, they need to be accepted, integrated, and reconciled with, made peace with. Your shadow can be your best friend, or it can be your enemy. Either you can accept it and wield it, or you and it can take turns dominating one another. There are rituals I have seen people discuss whereby the shadow becomes something like an autonomous fiend. I know Eli Mercury, who has a YouTube channel called Lucifer's Primordial Flame, found a way to turn the shadow into an autonomous demon, or demonic-like thing, an autonomous spirit. You'll have to have him explain it for real. There's also a ritual in Profane Seals to animate your shadow with a semi-independent shadow demon. Recently, I performed a ritual along with an amazing friend of mine who was very good at magic. Her shadow had actually divorced itself from her and ran away and become something separate. And it was actually attacking people and feeding on them in their dreams. I performed a ritual alongside her to bring it back into her. It was successful. She was telling me beforehand, I need to get my shadow back so I can access my full power. And other people have gotten messages like that too. If you want to access your full power, you need to integrate the shadow. Now, this book, Loki, Trickster, and Transformer, has an interesting view of the shadow, in which the shadow is more seen as a multitude than a singular being. I imagine it is valid to approach the shadow in that manner. Definitely like the technique described in this book for shadow integration. They call it demon work instead of shadow work, using the word demon to refer to those repressed parts of yourself. If you make peace with your shadow, it can become a very wonderful ally, something that will be with you when you're afraid, something you can get guidance from. Now, the third part of the soul that I believe in is the spirit animal. Now, the spirit animal is the bestial or beast formed aspect of the soul. I've found that mine can take more than one form. I've seen mine as a lion and as a wolf. And of course, the power of the spirit animal can be wielded in various ways. So, in my findings, your higher self has a name. And when you learn what that name is, you can use that name like a magic word to contact it or to weave its power into spell work. The spirit animal also has a name that you can use in similar ways. The shadow appears not to have a name, from what I can tell. And of course, ultimately, your higher self and your spirit animal are parts of your own soul. And once you learn their names, you have to yourself learn how to weave those parts of your own soul into your magic. Personally, I can really mess up other people's spell work just by calling on my higher self. I can use the power of my spirit animal to trace people's magic in weird ways. Those are just some examples. Now, there's another aspect of the soul that I call the personal metagod. I used to call the personal metagod the dragon because from what I could tell, everyone's personal metagod was either a dragon or had draconic features, but it turned out that was just me and my friend group. Other people's personal metagods don't always take draconic shapes. So the personal metagod is composed of the spirit animal, the alternate self or shadow, and the higher self. It is the amalgamate of these three parts of your soul. So while some people talk about the need to integrate their higher self, they're just reaching towards one of these different parts of their spirit. The personal metagod is beyond those three parts of your soul. It was very confusing for me to discover it because I was trying to speak to my higher self and then something sort of intervened. I just saw the head of a black dragon speaking to me, giving me the answers I need, telling me to, work with my shadow to deal with the problems I was facing at the time. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was me. I knew it was beyond my higher self. So at first I just called it my higher self. But thanks to some more experience on my part and some help from the man formerly known as Augustus Gregori, channeling Abaddon's messages for me, I was able to learn what exactly this thing is. And of course, I call on my personal metagod's power mainly to activate my claircognizance. When I look in someone's eyes and I mentally say the name of my personal metagod, I can just let the information I'm looking for come to me and then tell this person whether or not they're a starseed, etc. Sometimes when I use tarot cards, I draw on the insight of my personal metagod instead of my higher self. Well, that's not quite right. The answers are still coming from my higher self, but I use the power of my personal metagod to understand them. I do this specifically most of the time when I'm using the Black Alchemy Tarot designed by Curtis Joseph and Gary Rosenberg. I occasionally use it for the Lucifer Tarot and the Daemon Tarot as well. What I do is I have this sort of magical chant that includes the name of my personal metagod and includes the name, my true name, which I'll discuss momentarily. It also includes something else. It's none of your business. And I recite this chant in my mind while I look at the cards, and that's how I turn my claircognizance on and sense what each card means in that context, in that reading. Usually I just draw the cards, look at what they mean in the book, but for certain reading techniques, I psychically sense what each card represents on the spot, using the power of my personal metagod. Now, the personal metagod, the higher self, and the spirit animal all have names, but the name of your personal metagod is not your true name. The name of your higher self is not your true name. The name of your spirit animal is not your true name. Your true name is different. Your true name is a key to your full power and potential. It can be used as like a magic word to access any of the parts of your soul, which we previously discussed. It can be used to weave your true inner power into your spell work. There's a lot of variety among true names. Some people's true names have words from foreign languages in the names. Some people and their true names are named after certain deities. I am. Some people and their true names are named after certain stars. It's ceaseless. One night I unexpectedly had a dream where I accessed my Akashic record. Other people have spoken about seeing the Akashic record as like a scroll or a book. Like your Akashic record would look like a scroll or book. Mine was presented to me in my dream as a Wikipedia article. And that, is how I got my true name, by seeing that Akashic record in the form of a Wikipedia article. I didn't understand the experience at first. I was like, God, I know I have an ego problem, but did I just dream that there was a fucking Wikipedia article about me? Am I this self-involved now? But the Akashic records are not the only way to get your true name. I'm sure your higher self and your spirit animal and your personal metagod could all easily tell you what your true name is. Some people learn their true names from demons. Some people get their true names by accident. One time I was trying to help someone come up with like a nickname, and I accidentally channeled their true name and said, hey, this should be your nickname. Turned out to be their true name. Another dude was trying to make up like a name for himself that could be his username in fucking video games. And in the process of creating this name, he accidentally channeled his true name. It happens like that. Sometimes. And of course, there's always a variety of sigils that can be used to access your soul, the various parts of it. One practice a former friend taught me was to get a sigil for my higher self and offer my own blood to my higher self through that sigil. If you ever sleep deprived and have a real long shift, you can just draw a sigil representing your higher self on a piece of paper, Write your true name and or the name of your higher self above it. Bleed on it. Stick that in your pocket. It's like 2 energy drinks, but you aren't jittery. You just feel great. Anyways, that's all for now. Have a great night and enjoy your immortality. Check out the links in the description below if you want a little more VK in your life.